Recording started.
Hello, NYSCA Theater constituents, and welcome to the fiscal year 18 Theater Program Application Webinar. I am Kathleen Masterson, Theater Program Director.
And I'm Oren Chait, the Theater Program Associate.
We look so well rested in these photos, Oren.
So before we begin, if you haven't already done so, we suggest you go to the Theater Program Guidelines at www.arts.ny.gov and click on the Theater link to download them. Follow our discussion using the table of contents. Please print this out and keep it with you as you fill out the application. This table of contents can and will serve as your trusty guide to the mass of material and instructions, and the Theater Program Guidelines begin on page 47.
Before you create an application, please read these Theater Program Guidelines with comprehension to determine if you are eligible to apply in a specific category in the theater program. We ask that you focus your application on one request. If you don't know what category you should apply in, please call us. If you are ready to quit right now, take heart. Later in the year, you will be able to apply for a new opportunity at Art New York that is open to theater companies and theater projects across New York State. It is called the Creative Opportunity Fund, and it supports simplified applications in both the creation and infrastructure development areas in theater. You can go to the Art New York Creative Opportunity Fund for more information. The theater program at NYSCA offers support to professional theater companies with ongoing production and development programs and service organizations that build and reinforce administrative and institutional skills, provide resources and information, assist in the professional development of artists, and/or enhance education about and access to theater for all audiences.
Funded applications reflect the full range of theatrical expression, traditional forms, classic, contemporary, and musical theater, and experimentation that crosses disciplinary boundaries, as well as proposals that are creative and experimental in their use of new technology are welcomed. NYSCA encourages performances that reach underserved audiences and constituencies, activities that provide opportunities for diverse artists and administrators, and imaginative approaches to theater for young audiences.
Organizations and/or individuals requesting support for theater artist commissions should refer to the Individual Artist Program Guidelines. Now, all requests for activity in any application that you make to the New York State Council on the Arts are for the period 1/1/18 through 12/31/18. That is the contract year and also known as the request year. And contracts will be awarded for this time period only, so you must have your requests focused on that time period. Multi-year contracts are awarded at the discretion of the council based upon the quality of the application, but in your application, you should discuss the request year, again, 1/1/18 through 12/31/18. And there are categories, 4 categories of support in the theater program. One is general operating support. This is unrestricted support. Only one request is allowed in general operating support across all NYSCA programs. So organizations that apply for GOS in theater may not submit another application in the theater program unless invited by the council to do so in the regrants and partnerships category. General operating support represents seasonal rather than project support. The mission of the organization applying for general operating support must be the creation, production, or support of the professional theater in New York State. There must be paid, that is W-2 staff, not 1099. One paid administrator on W-2 is the minimum requirement. GOS applicants are generally held to a higher standard of managerial fiscal competence than applicants in the project support categories. Producing organizations applying in general operating support are expected to meet and generally to exceed the basic prerequisites of the professional performances category. Sponsored projects, that is those projects where you are applying through a fiscal sponsor, are not eligible to apply for general operating support.
Okay, so there are 2 project support categories. The first is professional performances, provides support for artist fees and production expenses. The prerequisites are the company must have produced for 2 seasons before applying for support. The company must stage at least 1 public production per year. The company must have an artistic director. And applicants must be able to demonstrate in their budgets that fees are paid to artistic personnel, including actors.
Professional performances is the only category in the theater program in which fiscally sponsored projects may apply. See page 13 of the guidelines for a discussion of fiscal sponsorship. Applicants must fill out the sponsored project forms, which are found in the guidelines and also in the pre-submission uploads section of the Grants Gateway application. So applicants must fill out the sponsored project forms and submit them along with their support materials to their fiscal sponsor for upload.
The second project category is services to the field. Prerequisites, applicants must be able to document a history of providing services to the theater field of New York State. Services to the field offers support for service organizations and for activities that provide managerial, artistic or information services to individual theater artists and or organizations. These services may include publications, professional development, managerial support, information resources, subsidized space and initiatives extended beyond the scope of an individual organization's general programming. New applicants to this category must contact the NYSCA staff before submitting their request. And again, sponsored projects are not eligible for support in this category.
There is one invitational category, as we mentioned, and this is regrants and partnerships. This category is by invitation from the council only. Regrants and partnership projects must have a significant field-wide or statewide impact. Sponsored projects may not apply in this category.
So for the support material requirements for all applicants in the theater program by category may be found beginning on page 55 of the guidelines. They include, but are not limited to, resumes of key artistic and administrative personnel, the organizational chart, strategic plan for general operating support applicants, supplemental form with information on the current and previous seasons for producing organizations, and marketing materials and sample playbills, as well as your website and social media links.
For general operating support and professional performances applicants, we require video documentation of past performances, workshops, or arts activities, and strongly prefer material from the most recent season. A simple video of a live performance or rehearsal is preferred to heavily edited promotional footage. The idea is to give panelists a clear sense of the artistic work of your company. Panels view no more than 3 minutes of video, so please indicate clearly which portion of the longer sample should be viewed first. Note what phase of the project the sample represents, for example, 5th week of a 2-month developmental workshop, a dress rehearsal, etc. Also, evaluation and assessment forms or related materials such as audience surveys are especially important in the services to the field category. But we encourage you to submit them for all categories to demonstrate how you assess your organization's goals and progress and how you act upon the assessments you have done.
Note you may only submit 1 item per box in the pre-submission upload section. This is the support material section of the Grants Gateway application. So you must create a PDF with multiple documents. Let's say you have several resumes. You want to combine that into one PDF. If you upload a second document into that same box, it will overwrite the first document. So double check that the materials you're uploading make it into the Grants Gateway the way you hoped it to look.
And here are some pointers and reminders. The guidelines may be accessed, again, through the www.arts.ny.gov website by clicking on Guidelines, then Theater Program. Print out the guidelines, or at least print out the table of contents and refer to it as you go through the steps needed to create your application in the Grants Gateway. The first 46 pages of that table of contents contain instructions on how to create an application in Grants Gateway and general counsel information, including how to register your request on the NYSCA site, which is another essential step. Whether you are on multi-year or creating new requests, you must register your requests on the NYSCA website. Pre-qualification in the Grants Gateway is required for all applicants, and the steps for pre-qualification are outlined on page 8 of the guidelines. The NISCA registration process, as I mentioned, is required of all applicants, including multi-year applicants. It precedes your application in Grants Gateway, and the registration steps may be found on page 14 of the guidelines book.
So the applicants are encouraged to contact NISCA Theater Program, which is Kathleen and myself, well before the application deadline. Our contact information is on the guidelines pages, as well as our website here. We won't be able to discuss content of your proposal with you after February 14th of 2017 when the application period opens. We urge you to complete the application well in advance of the March 21st, 2017 4 p.m. deadline, not 5 p.m., not midnight, but 4 p.m. So don't even think about waiting to the last few days to complete and submit your application. Please, please, please do it the week before the deadline. The theater application has 3 general questions on staff, governance, and finances at the beginning of the application questions. All applicants in all categories must answer these questions, then proceed to the questions for the category in which you are applying. All the questions for all categories appear on the application in Grants Gateway, but please answer only the questions for the category in which you are applying. If you don't know your category, please call us. Answer the questions in the wrong category will not be considered by the panel. General operating support questions are marked with a capital G following the question number, and professional performances with a P, etc.
So if you've applied in the professional performances category, for instance, and you are answering questions marked with a G, which is the general operating support category, this is a dead giveaway that you are working too hard and you're working in the wrong category. As for the category questions, please read the actual question more than once and answer the actual question. Save the answers in a Word document. Be aware that panelists and council members come from across the state and they rotate on and off, so they may not be familiar with your organization. Don't assume that they know your work. Approach your answers to the narrative questions with clarity and brevity so that readers of your application will understand quickly both the intention and the specifics behind the activity for which you are requesting funding in fiscal year 18. Remember, this is the request year. This requires you to express the uniqueness and heart behind your organization's mission and achievements without grandstanding.
Complete the project budget. You'll see pre-submission upload section of the Grants Gateway application for a blank project budget template. Make clear in the expenses portion of the project budget how the NISCA request amount will be spent. We're especially concerned with artist fees, so be sure to place these amounts in the outside artist fees and services line in this portion of the budget. Provide detail on how you will spend the NISCA request amount in the budget notes section of the project budget, and provide breakout of artist fees. Also use the budget notes section to detail significant sources of income and remaining operating expenses, and to explain discrepancies of more than 20% over previous years that show on your organizational budget. You have completed this organizational budget on the NISCA website during the registration process, but it does not contain a budget notes section. Also on the project budget, income minus expenses should be equal to or greater than the NISCA request amount.
Carefully read the support material requirements for your application category and use the last question in each category to double check that you have submitted all the required material. Last but not least, please spell check and proofread your application. Then, and we urge you to do this, have someone who has not written the application read it for sense. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to your fiscal year 18 application to NISCA.